If you're trying to buy your first rental property right now, you probably felt it. Every listing looks overpriced. The great deals are already gone. Interest rates makes the numbers tight. And every time you think you found something solid, the math just doesn't work. It starts to feel like either you're missing something or everyone else knows something you don't. By the end of this video, you're going to understand a proven step-by-step system for finding your first rental property at a price so good that you will walk in with built-in equity instead of hoping appreciation saves you in 2026. This is the same type of framework seasoned investors use to consistently buy 10 to 25% below market value, and sometimes even more. And I warn you right now, skipping even one of these steps can mean overpaying by $20,000 to $50,000. Let's break this down properly. What a good deal actually means in 2026. Back in 2020 and 2021, investors can pay less than 10 to 15% of market value. And being that appreciation was happening so fast, at the end of 12 months, they were looking like geniuses. But that's not the case anymore. In 2026, in stable rental markets, appreciation is back to normal, 3%. So, trying to buy those tight, slim deals or buying at market value just will not work in today's market. A strong rental today must produce 8 to 15% cash on cash return. Maintain 1% to 1.2 rent to price ratio. Survive 8 to 10% vacancy. Include 5 to 10% maintenance reserves. And it still must cash flow 8 to 10% after paying the property management company. The purchase price of a property is $185,000. Let's say the monthly rent is $1,700. Okay, that means annually that property will get $20,400. Now let's get into expenses. The conservative expenses, let's say, is $9,180, which is about 45% of that $20,000 number. Now, before your debt, you're grossing about $11,220. Let's say your mortgage rate is at 7% with a 20% down. All right, that will get you about $9,600 annually. Your net cash flow is about $1,620 a year, and that puts you at $135 cash flow a month. After I broke those numbers down to $135 a month, you might say, what the hell am I doing? And if you said that, you are correct. This is why you have to know how to properly evaluate deals and understand the difference between a good deal and a great deal. All right. Now, some gurus teach making $200 a month cash flow per door. I do not teach that. All right. Because I teach my students how to go out and hunt. The reason why I don't want you to do these deals, because at that $135 a month cash flow, let's say that you have an expense, the HVAC unit goes, all right? And that's going to cost you $5,000. All right, now if you're cash flowing $1,600 a year, you're talking about it's going to be 4 or 5 years, 4 or 5 years before you get your money back. This is why I don't want you to do those deals. And instead, I want you to go find a deal. If it's worth $180,000 and rents for $1,700, I would like you to find that deal at $90,000. Okay, you put $30,000 into it. You got it fixed up. Now you're in $120,000, and then after you refinance it, right, to put it in 30-year money, if you didn't buy it with 30-year money, and now you're cash flowing a few $100, okay, instead of $160 a month. Always remember, follow numbers, not zip codes, okay? Don't think you have to start local. If you got to drive 30, 45 minutes to cash flow $300, $400, $500 a door, then it will be worth it, okay? However, if you got to stay in your hometown or in your zip code and you break even or cash flow $100, $150 or $200 a month, just know that's a dangerous game. Okay? Now, let's look at some numbers. All right. So I'm located in Charlotte, North Carolina. And in Charlotte, North Carolina, let's say I find a house that's worth $350,000, right? And that house that's worth $350,000, let's say it rents for $1,800, okay? And it rents for $1,800, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. That's not even 1% of the purchase price. Now, when you hear about the 1% rule, all right, if you pay $300,000 for a house, it should rent for $3,000. That's following the 1% rule. All right. It should rent for $3,000 a month for it to make sense. Okay. And this is why I said in the first example how we look for good deals. That deal that's worth $170,000, what we do, we will buy it at $90,000, put $30,000 into it, and now we into 120, but it rents for 1,700. Now the numbers start to make a lot more sense, okay? Then at $300,000, our mortgage is with taxes and insurance around $1,800, $1,900 right now, and at that point it rents for $1,800. You know, if you put a down payment, let's say you put 20% down and take it down, and now you're able to cash flow $150, it's still not enough. All right. It just doesn't make sense. So this is why I think that you should go 30, 45 minutes outside of your market so you can find those houses. Whereas, okay, this is a nice middle-class neighborhood. Houses sell fixed up $170,000 to $220,000. I found one for $100,000. I can put $30K into it. The ARV on this one's worth $200,000, and this can rent for $1,600. All right. You see how you're all in? All right, 130, but it rents for $1,600. Now you're doing better than the 1% rule. You don't need to live near your rentals. What you do need is professional property management. That's going to be 8 to 10%. Digital rent collection. So as long as they have some type of system where they can collect rent digital, that's perfect. And a reliable handyman or reliable vendors that can fix up certain things at the property. As long as you have that, you do not need to live near that property. I've had properties that I haven't been to in over a year, in years, unless it goes vacant. I'll send the handyman there and have the handyman meet the tenant there, and then they just do their thing. And I pay for what I have to pay for at Lowe's over the phone, or I order it, have them pick it up, etc. So I strongly recommend you getting the Lowe's account, a pro account at Lowe's. It's extremely helpful with ordering things and having people pick things up. As long as they have their ID, you put their name down. All right, let's go over the rent first acquisition strategy. What do I mean by that? Once you start identifying an area, I want you to look at the rents. Okay, I want you to find the average rents in that particular area. All right, now once you find the average rents in that particular area, let's say the average rent in that area is $1,500. Okay, $1,500. So I want you to start looking for deals around $100,000. Now, right now we're in the buyer's market. Let's say that somebody's listed for 100, has a fixer-upper worth 100 and that's listed for 130,000 and it's been in the market for 4 months. You know this property fixed up is worth 190, right? You know that rents are $1,500. And let's say you have your pre-approval from a hard money lender or you're paying cash. Hey, it's a fixer-upper. You put your offer in for 80 and start negotiations. They've been in the market 4 months. You go back and forth and say, hey, this is what I can do, And you can't be afraid to make your offer or submit your offer to these realtors. As long as you have proof of funds, you'll be good. If you don't have proof of funds, it might be better to go off market and go direct to sellers to look for these type of deals. But if you know rent is $1,500 in that area and you got to fix it up, let's say you're going to put $30,000 into it. Well, if rent's $1,500, the 1% rule means you need to be all in $150. Okay. being that you need to be all in 150,000, hey, you need to buy something at what, 90, 100, 110. So that way you could put your 30 into it and still be in at that 150,000 mark or under to make your rent make sense. Listen, you're going to hear this a lot in your real estate investing career. You make your money on the buy. All right? You make your money on the buy. That is the truest thing ever. I heard that so much in the beginning of my career, I just wrote it off. But as I learned, that's the most important thing. And always keep in mind, a bad contractor can take a great deal and run it to hell. Okay? That can happen. So you do want to have a good contracting team. And I know I'm telling you to find these deals. It's not going to happen overnight, right? It's going to take time. You're going to put multiple offers in. If you go on the MLS right now, you're going to put multiple offers in. Or if you go off market, you're going to put multiple offers in and trying to buy these properties. All right. I know somebody that got a duplex for $120,000. It was listed online for $180,000. Okay. They got $60,000 off. The duplex is worth $250,000, but it needed work. But with the numbers they got it at, right? Each side can get $1,000. So the thing can get $2,000, right? So he got it for 120, end up putting 50 into it, 50,000. So now he's in 170. His appraisal came back around 250, 240-ish, around there. And he gets 1,000 each side, right? So he can cover his debt service and still cash flow. I believe he's told me he's cash flowing $500-$600 on this one duplex, okay? See, but you have to be willing to look for these deals and put the work in. But they're out there. You just got to make the offers, all right? This one step can save you a bunch of headache and help you get to your goals a lot faster if you buy right. All right, let's get into a professional underwriting breakdown. Many beginners calculate rent minus mortgage equals profit. That is incomplete. Here's a realistic underwriting. Rent, $1,600. Your vacancy, 8%, $128. Your maintenance, 8%, that equals $128. Management costs, 10%, that equals $160. Taxes, 1.2% of $180,000, that equals $180 a month. All right, insurance equals $100 a month. Your reserve, you want to reserve at least $200 a month. Now, that is a total of $896 a month, all right, out of that $1,600. So the remaining before mortgage, you're left $704. Let's say your mortgage is $650. So your true cash flow in that deal is $54. That's tight, right? Now you're starting to see why buying right is extremely important. Now let's say you say, hey, I'm gonna pass on that deal because true cash flow is $54. However, you find another area where rents is higher and you could pay a better price. And now that you can pay a better price, you're cash flowing every month $400 instead of the $54. So this is why it's important to break the numbers down and not just focus on rent minus mortgage equals profit, because that's not always the case with rental property. Now, for your first rental property, make sure you target performance metrics. What do I mean by that? Your first rental, you want to cash flow at least $250 a month to $400 a month. That's right, your first rental, all right? And like anything else, the more you do it, the better you will get. What you want to do is you want to focus on areas that have a stable, long-term rental to demand. So what kind of areas are that? All right, you have your lower middle class and your low income class, right? AKA the hood. All right, so what you're going to realize is that these people rent houses for 7, 10, 15 years. Some people stay in them their whole life. But that's what you want, right? Because it's stable. Because out of your tenants, ideally, you want 5 years, 7 years out of them so that you can see true cash flow and appreciation out of these properties. As a landlord, your biggest expense is turnover. So you want to avoid that. Here's some things to avoid when you're looking for your properties. Negative cash flow. I'm going to tell you not to do that. Believe it or not, there are people who buy rental properties for negative cash flow because they're banking on appreciation. I'm going to tell you not to do that. All right. Don't play that game. All right. Let those guys play that game and let them have strategies in that game, because I've seen people get hurt playing that game. On your first one, try to avoid heavy rehabs that are over 30K. All right. Try to avoid those, because remember, you can have a great deal, but that contractor can take that deal to hell if you don't know what you're doing and it's your first time working together. Avoid luxury markets, right? Because what you're going to realize in luxury markets, they're going to have higher turnover. Because let's say average rent in your city is $1,700, but you got a luxury rental that is a 3-bedroom, they're paying $2,800. What you're going to realize is that that person that has $2,800 every month to pay the rent, they also got options and the power to own their own home. And some of them exercise that after a year or two, which is going to have constant turnover. All right. You want people after their lease, they continue to stay there years and years more. And be careful with HOA heavy properties. I'm not 100% against properties at HOA, but you have to be careful. All right. Some of those HOAs, man, they are something else. And if you don't pay your HOA, yes, they can take your property. And after your first deal, you will have investor confidence, and therefore you'll be willing to do more and more and more. After this, you realize the most important thing is to buy right, run your numbers, all right, research your area, and don't be afraid to go outside the area in which you live. And when I say by research your area, make sure that the rental rates are strong and make sense to where you're buying these properties, with the price you're buying these properties at. Most beginners buy based off emotion or excitement or fear of missing out. So for example, a few years ago, we had the Airbnb craze. So what do people do? Go out, buy properties at full price, and put them on Airbnb, and they did make a profit temporarily. However, the market turned and a lot of those people got stuck with those properties, and those properties are now going into foreclosure. All right. So you want to be able to buy based off the numbers, not hype, not emotion, any of that. As a professional, as long as you're buying based off numbers and cash flow, you will make it through every market cycle. Remember, real estate is not about finding a property. It's about finding the right property. I hope this video was helpful. Comment below if it helped you, or how was it in your journey of buying your first rental property. I'm Nasser, AKA the Real Estate Guru. I'm not a guru, I'm a duru, because I actually do this business. Peace.